2, 1. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Hey, what's up, everybody? Andrew Wall here, host and executive producer at Illuvium, and welcome back to Illuvium Showcase. This time is going to be a special episode because we've got co-founder Grant Warwick here, but we've got not 50, like the title says. We've got 60 plus never-before-seen leaks. Von Leekman is here. The man formerly known as Von Neumann, on the stream today. Let's bring him in. Grant, how you doing today? You've got leaks to show us today, don't you?
Dude, just trying to organize everything this week. It makes you realize when you don't leak anything for a few days that the dam begins to build up. People's expectations and needs for them grows, and it just eventually all breaks down on top of you and you get crushed.
You do get crushed indeed, but we're going to let everything go here. And in this episode, we are going to, right after this episode, share with you all of the leaks that were dropped here during Illuvium Showcase today. So don't worry, you'll be able to download the files and check them out yourself. Obviously, we've got Grant here, 50 new leaks. Arlen is going to be included, Mozart, Illuvium 0, some videos, images, and of course, a live Q&A. And it goes without saying, this is not financial advice. Grant and I are not advising you financially. We're just showing you cool stuff from Illuvium Games and behind the scenes development on what we're doing at Illuvium. Might even have some secret stuff I see over here on my other monitor Grant might be showing you in real time. We shall see, my friends. And of course, before we get started, I want everybody to be aware. We are selling these amazing Bulldogs Illuvium jerseys right now. This one's only happening for about a couple more weeks at this point. Comes with a cosplay NFT. Don't listen to me talk about it. Just watch this video already. Secured our first elite sporting partnership with legendary rugby league club, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. We are proud to bring you official team jerseys. This exclusive Illuvium Bulldogs design. Each jersey comes with a cosplay NFT and bonus classic membership to the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Get yours today, as 19 of these limited edition jerseys will be worn in-game, then signed by the Bulldogs' own. You know, I gotta say, I gotta cut it off right there, because isn't it kind of weird that an American is doing the voiceover on a rugby promotion? Isn't that kind of weird, Grant?
It is very weird. It is very weird.
What are you going to do, though? What are you going to do? So let's go ahead and get straight into the leaks. That's what you guys are here to see. I've got over 60 leaks to show all of you guys. Link in the description below and the pinned comment on YouTube if you want to buy one of those Bulldogs jerseys, bulldogs.illuvium.io. So let's go ahead and go full screen with this and show the leaks. What's this first one here, Grant?
It's just an update on the Abyssal Basin level that we shared in the previous video with Mark and Ben, just showcasing some of the details. So I think you were requesting a video fly through of that, and that'll be next week. So next week, the goal, now that this show is up and running, is to try and formalize some of the stuff to, really make it pop, and that'll be coming up. So we're going to be doing some battleboard videos and overworld videos for next week.
That's awesome. And I see the text down here says grass test. So is this new types of grass you guys are adding to this area? Is this new tech or something like that? Tell me about, give us, I know grass is boring, but you got to test the grass?
Well, grass is boring, but it makes everything look good. And right now what we're doing is a lot of research and development on how to optimize it and get all the features in that we want across the 7 regions. So we're creating different grasses for different regions, and the grass within each region needs to be clumped and look a certain way and have a certain feel. So Ignis is working on that at the moment. He's a relatively new tech artist on the team, and stuff like that gets me really excited because it's the polishing phase of the level. You don't work on this stuff until the levels are looking really good. So if you use my stream,
absolutely, let's go check it out. Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, everything we're showing, it's not necessarily final, but it's in the development process. And in the stream we did last time, the grass wasn't as detailed, and now you can see we're starting to. Sorry, it's going a little bit fast here. So I'm inside of the Sanctum Mesa scene, and now we're starting to get variation within the grass, and it makes it kind of come to life a little bit. And that's AAA. You can see there's still some problems with certain assets and stuff like that, but the point is that the grass has variation in it now, and that extra detail is what's going to give the region that final AAA polish. I think it looks great.
It does look great. Audience, let us know if you like the way this looks. I love the way the sunlight is casting in on this environment. Obviously, we have like a little dude there to show the scale of the environment versus all the plants. Yep. Yeah, and the grass looks like you can reach out and touch it. Obviously, we're going to see movement in that grass, and it's going to be more lifelike. I remember you mentioning that on our more recent stream, adding that for an element. Oh, there you go. There's some movement. And whoa, you can change the time of day in real time. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's really, really awesome. There you go. There's the bonus leaks you guys came for. This is what Grant does, man. He just fires it up. He just shows you all this stuff work in progress. And this is Sanctum Mesa, is that correct?
Yes, this is the main hub. This is what we showed in the previous video, but it's just coming together. Salvatore is the environment artist working on this level, and he's having a lot of fun just polishing things. When I spoke to him, he comes from AAA game development, and one of the problems is you get rushed onto the next thing. And having Mark on the team, who has had to make environments for film quality, environment extensions and stuff for film, it means that the quality is going to be much higher, and we keep artists on each level for a longer period just so they can polish and make everything look perfect. So over the next few months, this level will be finished in a way where every single little corner has been hand created by Salvatore, and it's exciting to get the grass in now, and it's cleaning up a bit. It's looking good.
Just improvement week over week. We're going to keep showing updates on this content so that you guys can see how this is progressing and how this is improving. That's really awesome. And in this next leak that we're going to show, this is actually a video that you shared with me. I'm going to go ahead and play this back for everybody, and then give us the context after we show it. Let's check it out. No audio on this one, obviously.
Yeah.
So what are we showing here? What's the point of showing this to the audience?
We're trying to create a modern Pokemon, and that all stems from having really, really good collectibles, and not from the very start, not wanting to cheap out on any of this stuff. So what you're seeing is the final NFT artwork minus the sound. And every single character in the game has gone through this like absolutely rigorous, extensive, updated, re-updated 1,000 times process to get every single NFT card perfect. Right now, what we're doing is doing slight animation tweaks so that when the idle loops, basically you'll be getting an NFT that has 10 seconds of animation and sound, which will loop, and that will be your collectible. Obviously, in game, you will get the collectible as the card itself, but on the exchange, it will be represented by a 4K animated audio version of the NFT.
Got it. So just to clarify, what you're saying is when you get your Illuvial NFTs, you're not just going to get some still image. You're going to get a 4K looping, ultra high quality video similar to what you're seeing on the screen right now. Is that accurate?
Yes, 100%. And we've gone around in circles many times as to like what we think people will want the most. And because we're not in the realm and the days of like physical collectibles where you can like hold the card itself, obviously in game, when you have the character, you'll see it in your shard. But from a just pure impactful, like that's the characters you own, we wanted to showcase those as high res as possible. So having them 4K and having them in a system on the website when you own that collection to be able to cycle through the characters you own, I think is going to have more impact than compressing it to the size of the shard, even though you will have all of that in the game when you load up the game. But yes, this is what you will get outside.
That's the first time. That's the first time I've learned that. And when you're looking at other NFT projects and you're shopping on things like OpenSea, it's almost hard to buy a still image unless it's remarkable or customized in some way when you see a video next to it. And so it only makes sense for us to go up to that level of fidelity since we're a AAA graphics game. Most of what we're creating can move anyway, so why not have the NFTs move as well? That makes complete sense to me. Perfect. Well, we have even more videos. That's not it, guys. We have even more videos here to show you. This next one isn't quite as in a polished state. What are we looking at here, Grant?
So the thing is, right, Andrew and I have tried to get this together relatively quickly, and certain things might not be in order. So the NFTs, to get them to that final state, go through many, many people's hands. And this is a little video showcasing the animation done on the hair strands. So when he moves, the hair strands jiggle, and all of that is simulated. You know, those little details that bring out the life and feel of the character, incredibly
He's talking
important.
about up here, these little guys up here.
Yeah, so every single character. This was the insane thing when we first started this project. To do this 150 times, like when Pokemon did it, it's one artwork. It's one watercolor artwork. Yes, they're incredibly iconic and amazing, but the amount of work that goes into a still image versus creating a full blur, blizzard quality cinematic character that we can utilize later it's just a universe apart. And the reason why we go to all this effort for the NFT artwork is eventually these characters are going to have their personalities brought out and their demeanor brought out in animation clips. And we wanted to set up that scene for each character so that any animation updates we want to do, any little previews for releases we're doing, or showcasing certain characters online, everything is front loaded, and we've got all of that work there ready to go, so that if we want to do a cinematic cutscene of two characters fighting, all of the shaders are set up in a cinematic quality. So we've gone to as high as a quality level as you can physically go in film, CGI, cinematics, anywhere. Like all these characters will stand up in any format, anywhere, till the rest of time.
Perfect. And we've got even more videos to show all of you. So let's get into the next one. This is yet another kind of showing how the cake is made or how the donuts are made type of video, right?
Yeah, I really can't stress enough that we've made sure that every single character is at the absolute max quality that is attainable. Like we can't go any further. We've done everything. Certain characters have muscle sim, but hair simulation, VFX isn't in there on these yet, but like eventually they'll be dripping off of the characters, all of that stuff. I don't know if I sent you any of that stuff, but Jesse, our VFX artist, he is one of the best, if not the best, Phoenix FD VFX artist in the world. Inside of visual effects, you've got like the in-game real-time VFX and then offline VFX for things like movies, like when you see like giant wave simulations and stuff like that. And we use V-Ray to render. Phoenix FD is the native VFX fluid sim software for V-Ray. I personally got Jesse onto the team because he runs a VFX training course that was very similar to my previous CGI training. And as a team, we know exactly how each other works. And as time goes on and we get closer to the game release, every single one of these characters has all their passive VFX done as well. It's madness. You know, it's how detailed we're going to with all of these. I would love for you to show the stage 3 with sound, if that's possible.
Yeah, I think that one is in later on in the presentation. So let me go ahead and just go ahead and pull that up so everybody doesn't have to watch me fumbling, and happy to pull that one up. No problem. So the stage 3, I believe, was here. There it is. Okay, let me pull up the stage 3 for everybody, just skipping ahead a little bit. And here's now this one's gonna have sound. So I'll play it back with sound twice, and then Grant can give you guys some context on it. Stage 3 with sound. I'll just play it once.
Yeah, it's all good. Sound is still work in progress, obviously. You know, this was done for the presentation tonight, so things will be leveled out and stuff like that.
All right, cool. So give us context on this. So in terms of creating the sound for something like this, I know that you're not necessarily the one doing it, but what would be the process to go into getting the inspiration and deciding, you know, what animals are you inspired by? How do you source the sounds for this? You obviously don't go out and find one of these in the wild to record and then plug into the game, right? So how do you imagine what this fantastical beast would sound like and then, you know, reach this state of development?
Nico, who runs our sound team, and our sound team, as everyone knows, they're world class. You know, they're aiming to do the best sound work ever in any game. And although with this character it may be, you know, a little bit rushed for tonight, they send weird images to create the Foley work that they do. They've each got their own little studio at home, all of the sound guys, and they just sit there trying to, I don't know, they work with sound packs, they work with their own sounds. I've seen them doing stuff inside of bathtubs that, you know, looks quite weird, but it works. You know, we have to go to some weird lengths to get the sounds for the characters in the game, because each character needs to have its own distinct sound. You know?
Got it. That makes sense. I mean, you have to be creative.
Yeah, every character will have sound in the idle, which you'll be able to turn off, obviously. And the idea is that in the final game, when you see those cards on the NFT artwork, when you hover over that character, the idle will start playing, which, you know, you'll be able to turn that on and off in the user interface settings. But I think the beautiful thing is one character on its own, it looks cool, but it's when you really start getting like, all right, now I've caught 20, 30 of them, but I've still got another 120 to go. That collectible feeling is going to start kicking in for everyone, because they all just look so good. You're not going to want an incomplete set.
Makes sense to me. That's really, really cool. And, you know, it's tough with audio. It's, you know, it's an abstract art form, music and audio, so you really have to you have to be incredibly creative to kind of pull these sounds from the abstract. That's really, really awesome. Perfect. So I believe that was all of the videos of that description that we were going to show today, unless you felt that we were missing any. And now we've got an entirely new set of leaks, everybody. So what are we looking at here? Some cosmetic plants. These look pretty.
Yeah, these are from Crystal Shores. This is what Vincent has been working on. We are in the process right now of look deving these inside of Unreal Engine. Doing crystals is not easy, and thankfully we've got amazing reference from Vincent to achieve a more stylized look, because the thing that's difficult in Unreal Engine is doing refraction, and it's very costly. And Unreal Engine, obviously we're not working with ray tracing for, you know, all but the 1% of people with the most high-end graphics cards. We've got to make sure that the game looks stylized, and we're in the process right now of trying to make these look good in CGI. But these are just the concepts for those. The Crystal Shores region is the last region. It's the one we're least developed on at the moment. And I think that's because from a technical standpoint, there's a lot of complexities to solve. But as everyone knows, we're releasing the regions step by step. So by the time we finish the first 3 regions, we'll have the team full pace on Crystal Shores. This will be one of the last regions released in the open world.
It's really fascinating too to see the size comparison compared to a humanoid, and then to see the real life reference here. It's an amethyst plus a hulubi plant. And then boom, this is what you get in this fantasy world. Really, really awesome to see that. So you're going to use this as reference to try to make this come to life within Unreal.
Yeah, the idea was that we're creating all of these really, really cool, iconic plants in the other regions, and Crystal Shores is obviously entirely crystallized. So what has been crystallized in this region, and it's the other assets that we've already got from other regions. So we'll create a kind of sub biome for this region, and then the idea is that everything in that region has become crystallized, including the other plants. So hopefully you'll be able to recognize from the silhouettes when you're playing the game certain plants from other regions.
Got it. That makes sense. And this was just yet another beautiful reference here.
You can see the reference of the original plant down the bottom right in the concept sheet. So
Right down
that's the
here.
difference. Yep, and
Got
that
it.
will be an asset in another region. If you let me get up, I think maybe now would be a good time to bring up the asset zoo.
Sure. Whatever you want to pull on the screen, Grant. If you want to leak more things, we're in.
So I don't know if you're streaming yet. Give me
I'm
one
pulling
sec.
up the
Yep.
zoo. I'm going to pull up the zoo right
Cool.
now. What you got, amigo?
Cool. All right. So when you're creating a game this massive with this many assets, we've needed to start organizing everything. And so I'm inside of Unreal Engine. This is one of our asset zoo levels, which shows you all of the individual assets that go into certain regions and stuff like that. Now, this is always under development, and we've got a lot of assets, so we have to balance them out and make them look good so that everything's consistent and everything feels Illuvium. That's one of the things that I think is not really appreciated until everything comes together in the end, but just how much work we do to try and balance out every single asset so that it all feels like it lives in our universe. And there's obviously just tons of assets and a lot to do in that sense. But as I go through the asset suit level, you can start to see just how many things we've got. Every single one of these assets goes through 15 people's hands to get to the final in-game stage, and certain assets have VFX working out of the box. All of these assets need to be set up so that they've got movement and things like that. But it's so cool just to come through the level and see how far we've come. It's kind of, it may seem like you can get a lot in one small area, but like when you truly understand that just to create these plant assets, that's 2-3 weeks work for Thundercloud, who was one of our outsourced studios, because they have to go through concept, sculpt, high poly, low poly, texturing, and everything goes through that process. So there's just so much in the game.
Help me understand the point of, help me understand the point of the zoo for everybody who's creating the game. Is this just so you can sort all of the assets in your mind and just get a sense of the array of things that are available when you're creating? Or what is the point of creating this for the team internally to use?
It serves multiple purposes. Like you can see here's an example of taking a group of assets and clumping them in a way that we think will work in the environment. When you're set dressing, you want to do things as efficiently as possible because we've got 7 regions to create. So if we're not using the most optimized workflow with our team size, we would never finish. So one of the things we do is it's called clumping, where we'll try and find different assets that work well together. And then what we can do is just literally take them from this level, just grab everything, and inside of Unreal, I can just copy and paste those assets into, say, if I want to work on Crimson Waste, we've got a predefined art-directed group of assets that we know looks good together, so that when the artists are saying, all right, cool, we've got this hero plant, but what plants surround that plant? How do we maintain the consistency of that in the region? We can use scenes like this asset zoo to do this. But realistically, it serves many, many purposes. One of them is balancing the textures. It's very easy to just, like, if you're working on this asset and you didn't look at anything else, maybe you've made it too bright compared to everything else. And it's, like I said, hard to appreciate this until the game is out. But the game needs to, more than anything from an art direction standpoint, the game needs to feel like Illuvium. Anyone needs to be able to take any screenshot from any region at any time and any angle and say that's Illuvium. And that's tricky to do, but by going semi-stylized, by not trying to go photorealistic and not trying to go into the Mario stylized realm, we end up with a really, really nice balance where we've got a lot of rich detail in the overworld, but not so much where it begins to look like other games that have already reduced to a point where it's kind of hard, it's impossible to be unique, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, this zoo serves many, many purposes. You can see, like, these are all of the assets that we use for like the walls in Crimson Waste and things like this, and as goes back into the distance. The environment that we're seeing here, the other thing is this scene was set up by Mark to be balanced. So it's like we've got nighttime in some regions, daytime, sunset, sunrise, direct overcast. You've got to find a neutral level. And so like even though this background's just like some HDRI from obviously not in the overworld, it's just there to create nice even lighting on things. You can see some of the Halcyon Sea assets and stuff like that.
This is really, really cool to see behind the scenes how things are made. The clumping makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. You can grab a bundle of assets, go and drop them in, and not have to kind of create your own bouquet almost as a florist every time from scratch. So you can focus more on placement and filling in the gaps in terms of the level. I see a lot of, there's all sorts of things here. There's coral from Halcyon Sea. There's rock formations. There's even an obelisk over there. Even the smallest plants and details to the largest, most colossal shrooms are all in this zoo.
Yep. I remember early on in the first 6 months of development, just this, like what you're seeing on screen, once again, has to go through a lot of people's hands to get to a final polished in-game state. And just this little chunk was a few, 2-3 months of work for one of our outsourcing studios. So, it's really hard to appreciate just how much work goes into a scene like this. But, as you can tell, we're very organized with things and make sure that we're not wasting effort by creating assets that aren't going to be utilized and that don't work well together. Like here are some of the updated. It's just amazing. Like you see the detail that we've gone to. These are just pieces of
God. Look at that!
art.
Look at that coral. Yeah. It looks bananas. Look at the beautiful colors and the
all done by hand. None of this is procedurally done. It's all done by hand. It's just, it's really, really crazy. And some of this stuff is work in progress. You're not seeing final shaders or things like that, but each region, like each sub-region, like in Halcyon Sea, there'll be areas where we need to utilize these shapes in the water. And so we've got to create variations of those because they're going to be repeated throughout. And we found this really, really nice balance where if you create just enough assets, you have all the Lego pieces to build all the overworlds from, and you get away with repeating assets if you make them a certain way. So very exciting. Then we've got hero assets and stuff like this. It's just all hand painted. It's you've got the pearlescent background. This is like an entrance to one of the caves in Halcyon Sea.
I love how the background entirely differs from the front of that asset. Just like a real shell, right? If you pop it open, you get the smooth insides where the muscle is. That's a really cool reference to real life. This reminds me of what like an interior designer would need to design a room, right? They would need to see all the furniture pieces in front of them to place 100%. Those items. What a museum curator would need to be able to curate a proper exhibit by having all the works of art laid out and then placing them properly. This is essentially that archive room, that storage room of all of the works of art for you to place and curate the perfect region.
Here you can see some of the stuff that might not have been shared on Shardbluff, another region that's lagging behind the three that we're launching on. But once again, not everything is updated in this zoo because certain things, they don't go into the zoo until they're like done, finished assets outside of animation. So certain things will go in, but like Shardbluff has obviously all orange plants and stuff like that. Plants like this will be the type of plants that you see in the overworld that are trying to attack you. You don't want to fall on them, things like that. So we'll get animation into these. It's exciting to see this stuff come together.
I think that's the first time anybody's seen an attacky kind of plant. All of the other ones look like they could just live and exist in the world. That one clearly is ready to kill you and consume your body and your fuel for sustenance. That's really cool.
This zoo serves as a purpose, basically just to make sure that we've got everything progressing well and has to get onboarded into the engine looking identical with all the colors balanced. And one of the leaks that we will cover tonight, it's a major thing that we're overhauling at the moment, is the color space of the look of the game itself. So I don't know where we're up to with the leaks, but once we cross
Let's
that path,
Man, we got so many leaks to go through.
yeah,
Guys, if you're enjoying
no,
the stream,
yeah.
share it with a friend. If anybody's wondering, is Illuvium building stuff over here? Man, we're showing stuff all day in this stream. Let's check out the next leak. You were showing Crimson Waste assets there in the asset zoo. Well, here are some of those assets in action. Yet another grass test here.
Yep.
Perfect. This one in particular, what's the context on this? Obviously, we can see the scale of humanoids on top of. Is this in Halcyon C? This
is for Halcyon C. Yes.
Mm-hmm. These look coral-like, underwater, plant-like, and so at what stage is this in development? Obviously, these need to be fully textured, and
Just
there's
work in progress.
Work in progress. Got it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. These also look like they're Halcyon C assets, right?
Yeah, these giant corals, they're just absolutely enormous. And it's just the amount of work that goes into something like this. You know, Lorette is one of our artists in the environment team and the modeling team who I used to work with in print. It's funny now, I used to be part of we called it a dream team basically in print. We were doing the best high-end print advertising in the world. And we were all rounders. So myself, Dimitri, Connor, and Lorette all worked together at a studio called Cream Electric Art. That's at one point in our careers, and we all loved working with each other. So I've gotten that team back together, and it's just crazy. None of us have worked on a game before, but we're all loving the process. And being all-rounders, Lorette can do things like sculpting. Once we run out of assets in the game, she'll move on to set dressing and making the worlds.
I mean, these literally look like they're handcrafted. I mean, maybe it's the
everything is handcrafted. We're only now just getting to a point where, with Max on the team, who is a freak of nature inside of Houdini, we're starting to experiment with not doing things manually, because I knew that from the very start, even if we did do things procedurally in a certain way, it only gets you so far, and it doesn't give you the variation we need on this. So everything had to be done by hand and be unique, and it shows. We're going to end up with a game that looks unique from other games.
Makes sense to me. And this next image is more of that beautiful concept art. This is Taiga Boreal, correct?
Yes, that's one of the geysers that's exploding. As we saw in the environment video we did a couple of weeks ago, the player has the ability to launch themselves back up into the surface, onto the surface, and you do that by triggering these geysers. So this is something that Kendrick has been working on, just trying to get the feel and the look of the geyser. And then from this stage, someone like Peter or Sumo or Abul Fazl or Laura will go in and start working on that VFX.
That's going to be a fun traversal mechanic. That'll be really, really unique. I can't wait to hear the audio while you're inside of that with a big old pair of hunker of headphones on, hearing the water shoot around you as you fly up through this cave. This looks like the thing people have been asking for in chat. Is this related to this game I've heard of, Illuvium Zero?
When
is it coming?
Yeah. I believe. Yeah. So these are, the artwork is, we obviously overhauled all the artwork. So what you're seeing here is one of the in-game backgrounds for Crimson Waste in IZ. It's the area of land where you build out your little mini city, and Connor has been working on that. The detail that's gone into this stuff, we wanted it to be as AAA as you could make a still. What the game is, we wanted it to look as visually appealing as possible, and that's where we're at now. So I'll be leaking. Next week we've got a Taiga Boreal update. It looks ridiculous. If you bought a piece of land in Taiga Boreal, you're going to be loving it, because a lot of work went into the artwork for that background. It looks incredible.
Yeah, look at the details. There's some bones on the ground here, the green pools, little plants popping out of the ground. All of that is just gorgeous.
If you swap back to the stream where I'm showcasing, you can see that all of the assets, so like the assets, and this is another example of why we did things the way we did them. So that asset that you're seeing in the background of that render is the exact same game asset that we've got here in the asset zoo. And
got it. So that one he's showing on the screen there is this one here in Illuvium 0. Yes, so that's how it goes from asset zoo into something like Illuvium 0. Got it.
And this is something that I was stressing from the very, very start. We needed to make assets the highest possible quality so that they could work for anything. If it was promo, it was a mini game, if it was a different game in the future, our main game, all of the assets have to be interoperable, and everything you're seeing in those IZ backgrounds exists in the game, the main game itself. One-to-one, things won't change. So it keeps that unity between the visual aesthetic, no matter what we do in the game. You know, we're so early in our grand vision for the project. Doing it this way, yes, things start out slower than they would have if we kind of just rushed things and did it a different way. But long term, things get easier for us. If we want to make a different game, we've got this giant library of stuff to tap into, and it works. We know we don't have to upgrade the graphics. If we need to make things slightly higher res, we use a higher LOD in the engine. A LOD is just an abbreviation for level of detail, and we've got versions that will work up to, you know, any kind of next gen future console that comes out, or, you know, graphics card can handle. Everything's ready to go.
We're ready for RTX 7090s already.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not, but yeah, you guys get the point. Perfect. We've got even more leaks here from. We are. He's preparing for right. This is a 10-year project, right? This is we're really look forward facing here. If you guys are taking anything
100%.
away here, Grant is building and the team is building all of this to be high fidelity, to have these graphics last throughout the ages. Think of a World of Warcraft intellectual property. They built that intellectual property to last 10 plus years by making it more stylized. Illuvium is taking a similar approach. Here's a video.
Just got some updates on the Komodo dragon animations. One of my favorite characters.
Look at those interesting holes on his back there. That is not like a normal Komodo dragon. Those right there, that's interesting.
Those are his smoke holes. So,
of course he's got smoke holes.
he appeals to a certain demographic of player.
He looks like he could be a legal substance only pipe almost. Anyway. Legal substance. Bubbles is what I'm referring to. Bubble pipe. That's really, really cool. And his eyes as well. Look at those eyes. That's a bro right there that knows how to chill.
I cannot wait until we're very close now to getting all of the characters in the game. Maybe they won't have sound or VFX or something like that, but I think there's only a handful of characters left to go. There's like under 12 characters left to finish off all animations, which is just like, it's amazing, right? What happens is when you're developing a game, you start out, you know, the first part of that bell curve is, you know, everything's really fast and rapid, and then you kind of like slow down in the middle because it's just a grind and you're constantly doing the same thing over and over. And then as you get close to the finish, the artists and the team ramp back up, and because they see the finish line in sight. And with animation, we're getting to this point now where all of the in-game work is done for the auto battler, and we can start bringing out the personality in these characters. So some of the other stuff we've got working on is the reveal animations. You know, Alex, it's like once you finish the 9 animations required for the auto battler, well, then every character needs animations that bring its character out, that can be used in the character reveals when you capture them. All of these things we'll do custom that just push the character's demeanor, and it's exciting. I can't wait to see the Komodo in game. It's going to be one of the most beautiful characters for sure.
That's been a frustrating point Yeah, that's been a frustrating point for me. You know, seeing a little bit more how the sausage is made. People are saying these Illuviuls, they don't quite have the personality that we would hope they would have. It's like they're not done yet.
Yeah,
they're
not
currently being worked on. We know they need more personality. That's going to come through in these animations and all of these little details the team is working on, right?
Absolutely. 100%. We know that you cannot make things iconic and rememberable unless the characters have personality. So it's coming.
Here's some console from Unreal, another leak you shared with me, Von
This is
Leekman.
cool. Yeah.
What's happening here? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So in Abyssal Basin, what we're trying to do in each region is add a game mechanic that makes that region feel a little bit unique. And in Abyssal Basin, there are these plants that spawn lily pads that will take you through the level.
Ooh.
And Gizu, one of our
what,
tech
they're moving
artists,
around? I didn't even notice that, man. They're moving. They're not plugged into the ground through root systems.
No, there's simulation on those, but
oh my gosh,
they're linked to a curve so that they follow. You know, they go in the same direction. We don't want people just like randomly going, so you can kind of steer them a little bit, but they still stick to the track. And the idea is that when you first spawn in the region, you can like head to the main waterfall, jump on one of these lilies, and if you're the type of player who just wants to like peacefully see the region instead of dying in the acid or whatever that you're floating on, you can just cruise your way around the level on these lily pads. You know, if you want to jump off, sweet. You want to jump back on, it's all good. But it was just a cool little thing that we're trying to add into each region to give it some life and some, you know, some tech features, I guess you could say.
That is unexpected and really fun to jump on those lily pads, to have them slide around and to feel the physics of that. That's really, really exciting. Very cool. What a beautiful work of art. What are we looking at here?
This is another work in progress from Vincent on one of the Abyssal Basin plants. We, like I spoke about in the video 2 weeks ago, the Overworld video, we're in this process right now of taking back over Abyssal Basin and Brightland Steps from the outsourcers, Leotes and Onyx Studio. And we've realized that there are a few areas in each region that we want to showcase and things that kind of look screenshot worthy, and we'll create a one-of-one plant asset just for that one section. You know, a lot of the assets we create are repeated over and over in ways that make it not noticeable, but certain things we want, you know, the player to look at and just go, whoa, you know, it's like a lot of work went into that one small area.
Got it. This one's really, really cool. Obviously, it's work in progress. WIP there. Beautiful looking art. Yeah. We got some, these ones, and this one's interesting. To fit all the content in, we had to do a wider video here, but MonkeyRogue? So let's play this video here of MonkeyRogue.
Yeah. Each character has to have a forward walk, a left walk turn, a idle, a hit animation, an ultimate animation, a critical animation. Like there's over 10 animations required for each character. This character is the stage 3 rogue monkey, which was based on me, I guess you could say. So
let's see the comparison. All right, let's look at the face here. Okay. All right, let's see here. I don't know, man. I'm kind of seeing the resemblance. Let me know what you guys think in chat. One more time. Yeah, that. Yep. And then, yep. The artist nailed it. Perfect. We have even more animations of this month.
Strong.
Good job, artists. Okay, here's another one. Here's the taunting animation. So you're good at taunting animations in real life. So here's.
Let's not taunt anyone. I'll do my best to hold back this week.
Taunt your brothers. There we go. Perfect. Very nice. Very cool. Get over here.
Want to while you're doing that, let me see if I can bring up the.
And then here is just an idle animation. Just sitting there ready for combat, looking around. Very cool. The monkey is more beautiful. Ooh, that's savage, guys. Come on now. He's a real person. You
Well,
woke up.
at this point, I would have to agree. You know, haven't had a haircut in months. Like it's 3 a.m. in the morning. What do you want? Yeah.
I think your idle animation is better, Grant. Okay, I'll say it. Your real life one. All right, perfect. This looks really cool. So you're wanting to show something within Unreal Engine then? Is it in
Not
reference to
just,
Monkey
no,
Ninja
no, not.
or
I was just
MonkeyRogue?
gonna. No, not just yet. So basically, no, it's going to be compiling shaders, but we will.
Okay, well we can come back to it in a moment whenever you're ready.
Yep, I'm just running it now. I was just going to maybe at the end of the episode show some of the characters, the free-to-play characters in the game.
Got it, dude. We have like 45 more leaks to go through here.
This is 1 week. This is like okay, realistic. Okay, it's about 8.5 days of leaks. It's like when you have this many artists on a team. Like I said, I don't leak everything. You know, certain things. These are the little details we're going into right now with the grass. So we're heavily working on the tech of the grass, but that's only one part of it. The other part is making, once you get that tech, getting the variation in the grass and keeping it looking alien. You know, we don't want things to look like we just, you know, base them on Earth reference. So everything has to be alien and different. And so just little tweaks and stuff like that.
Makes sense. Translucency and particles flying out of plants takes it from being a generic clover to being a fantasy clover in this case.
So just those 4 clovers would be like a week's work for the team to develop. It's pretty cool.
That's wild.
Here we have another NFT artwork of the
work in progress. Work in progress. This is not the final artwork.
This is just the animation play bars. So this is stuff from the animation team. Before rendering this stuff out, obviously the animators working in Maya, they're not working directly inside of Unreal Engine or V-Ray. So these are just screen grabs that the animators are working on for the NFT artwork. And what we're trying to do, and this is a really tricky thing when you've got characters that are so varied, is make them framed correctly so that they kind of look like as optimized as possible in the space, in that square space that we have. So a lot of the characters needed to be adjusted and tweaked to fit inside of that square frame. But we're getting there. That's what we're working on at the moment. So next week, you'll see all of these characters rendered like the Atlas, the Axolotl Stage 3 was, with looking beautiful. And it's going to be really cool.
That's so cool to see the progress. So everybody needs to follow along here in Illuvium Showcase every Wednesday. Who doesn't love a beautiful looking polar bear? These nails right here, ice cold. We've got a number of polar bear leaks to share this week. I'm loving the way the fur looks. It just is so dynamic. You've got like the oopsie doopsie. You've got the blue under fur here, which is really, really neat. And then there's gray fur, black fur, and white fur, which adds to the realism.
This game, it literally has to go down in history as having the best real-time fur and diversity out of any game ever. We're using technology that only came out in Unreal 4.27, which was at the very start of development that came out and added that functionality. So other AAA games that are being developed with this tech may come out, but most games will obviously have, you know, using this tech and putting artists on with this skill level. They're 4 or 5 year development projects. And so we'll probably not see anything to this fidelity in a long time, you know.
And it looks like here's that same Illuvial in an earlier stage or a different stage of development, huh? Like
it's where she's going. It's where Maria is going in and texturing and clumping the fur that it, you know, it's, I don't even know how they do this stuff, you know, to do that in fur. It's mind blowing, you know, like there is not a single other game, I think, in development or that has ever been developed with as complex and detailed fur as this. It's truly madness. Like, if you can find me one, I'll give you a free NFT. If you can find me a game that's done this much fur development and look dev, but I don't think it exists because we spent a long time trying to find the best references in game. And there are a lot of very talented artists doing fur and hair and groom in game, but not over 150 plus characters. It's crazy.
It is totally crazy. Here's a character you guys recognize in chat. Put the name of this
Rhamphy.
Illuviul. Oh, you ruined it.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry.
No, I was trying to get people to type into chat. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Is
Just
this,
type in
is
the
this
chat
an
anyway.
idle? Is this an idle animation then? And this is in square format. Am I correct to assume that this is maybe work in progress of that NFT?
It's work in progress. Yes, work in progress NFT artwork. We're in the process now, and this is not just because you're seeing this now doesn't mean that's the exact camera that will be used. It's just the exact animation that will be used. So the animators have a rough square frame that they're locked off to, so that they don't push the animation outside of that or as little as possible. And then Dimitri and myself go in when we're rendering the final and just find the exact camera angle and focal length that brings that character out and gives it the most impact possible.
Got it. Here's an answer to your question a moment ago. You challenged everyone to find a game that had better art in look depth, or better fur and look depth. And
better fur.
Axie Infinity, right? Am I right?
GG. GG.
Got to highlight the trolls for a minute. Give you a little. There's some. I want to give the troll commenters a moment of glory there.
All right. Don't punch down.
Don't. Oh.
Some will remember that.
All right. Beautiful. Here is.
Never forget.
Here's an animation.
Forget. Yeah, we're updating the ultimate animations for all of the. I was going to send you an update of the VFX. Did I send you an update?
In our last Illuvium Showcase, we showed this Oni battle board. This is just kind of how the donuts are made. Basically, the Omega ability, they're flying in the air, forming a circle of fire, and then casting a sort of hex shape fire down below. I saw that last week. Yeah.
We'll save it for next week then, because it would have only just come today. Basically, Peter has been working on the updated VFX for all of these, and it looks amazing. But this is another example of, we did something that at the time we thought was amazing, but then, a year and a half goes by. This is one of the first characters lines we worked on, and we're just starting to see some inconsistencies with the quality, and it doesn't slow development down because the animators are at a point where they're not the bottleneck in the game's development. So we may as well just start polishing things up and making them as good as possible, which with our mindsets is just going to continually happen. I've shared leaks that have been updated 5 or 6 times over the last year and a half. So we have a perfectionist mindset, but only when we've got the time available to do it.
Here's a big boy. Struggling to fit this one inside of the frame. So obviously, I like it when characters don't fit in the frame. It makes them feel colossal. But it's going to be up to you guys whether you want to feature the entire model in the frame. Yeah,
it's something we take a lot of thought and care into, but we really want to make sure that they're popping off. Like, this is an example of the camera focal length being wrong for this preview. It's got to be more a longer lens that squashes him down a little bit so his head doesn't look as big. But it's going to be amazing. My only goal in this project was to recreate that giant 150 plus set of characters in one. As you've seen in certain leaks, I always update all the NFT artwork in the shards. You can see them, like, we're slowly chipping away at adding the NFT artwork to those. And that was my dream, because I don't know if people are aware, Kieran and I were massive Pokemon fans. And what happened when we were about 12, 13 years old is, I believe our cleaner stole our full set binder. So we had a full binder of the entire base set of Pokemon, and that was stolen. And I don't remember.
That's messed up, man. I'm really sorry to hear that. I can only relate. Magic the Gathering was that game for me. And I can only imagine the heart-wrenching feeling of having lost all the emotional attachment and value you put into those cards. Do you think that that's a formative experience that is the reason why you're recreating that today? Because you have this emotional hole in your heart?
100%. I was talking to Kieran, and we were like, how do we make this project recapture the Pokemon feeling. And we lost that feeling that day that our cards were stolen. It was just ripped from us. And in hindsight, maybe in a really good way, because personally, I have that kind of like deep, I remember that. I don't remember, as a kid, you don't really remember a lot of pain. I think like you push any pain you experience as a kid away, and that's how kids can forget being, you know, abused and shit like that, and it's pretty fucked up. But certain things stick with you into adulthood and serve as a reminder of like, don't keep my shit out, because if people steal it, I'm going to remember that feeling. And I still remember the exact day I like walked into that room. I was hiding the binder in it. Like we had a towel room, like just like next to the laundry. And I hid it in there because our parents worked at a tennis center, and, you know, there's a lot of people going through the tennis center. And I remember coming in one day and just like looking through all the towels, and it was just gone. So, and, you know, never saw our cleaner again after that. I remember I was just crying for like 2 hours straight. Just couldn't believe it. It was just my life ripped from me. So every time we do the NFT artwork, I'm like one thing closer to pulling that back.
That's really cool. I mean, with this project, with Illuvium, you'll be able to provide the joy of having the collections of Illuviuls to hopefully millions of people. So you want to talk about redemption? I mean, that's like, that's redemption on a whole nother level. You're not just giving some Pokemon cards to some kid out there to, you know, make up for that, or to your kids, let's say. You're giving Pokemon cards, if you will, to the whole world, and on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I will not buy a single character in this game. I'm going to collect them all myself. You know, that was Kieran and I set that as a goal. Not going to buy characters on the marketplace. We're just going to collect them ourselves.
That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that, man. I really appreciate it. It shows you're a little bit behind your undying motivation to build. And speaking of which, we've got even more freaking leaks here, man. Here is a beautiful version 2. Look at the scale of this. I mean, we've got this little dialogue box here. Here's your little dude here. Tiny little dude next to this giant rock formation. It looks like it's set up, though, for traversal, for some double jumps, triple jumps, and jetpacks here, huh?
Well, the issue was, right, so we're updating, like the Sanctum Mesa region that you saw, once again, in that video 2 weeks ago, had around the obelisk all of those spires, those rock spires, and they were some of the very first assets we created for the game, and they just don't hold up anymore. So
I see.
Arthur is going in, and we're trying to create it. They didn't look too stylized. Basically, what happened is in the first 3 months, from my perspective, art directing the project, we were always just going to like try and do things realistic, but with slightly stylized textures. And as the team grew and we had artists who were more fleshed out at doing stylized work, we just pushed it a little bit more into the stylized realm, and which once again helps us future-proof ourselves. And so all of the rocks in Sanctum Mesa are being updated at the moment to be a little bit more stylized and look a little bit unique to that region. So Arthur is working on that at the moment. And Arthur was actually another guy who I worked with at Cream Electric Art. So there's a lot of people on this team who I've worked with for many, many years, and it's just amazing seeing what they're doing. You know,
That's so cool. And here's a great quote I want to put up on the screen from our audience. You either keep your cards or you live long enough to make something much, much greater. Nice one. Nice Batman reference.
The crazy thing is, and the thing that keeps you going, is we don't know how successful this will be, or even if it will be successful. So when you don't know, you've got to make it as good as possible to guarantee. Like, we didn't go to all this work just to have people, you know, not feel the collectability and just for the game to fade into obscurity and just another shitty title that kind of amounted to nothing. So I don't know if people are going to find these characters collectible, and so all we can do is make them as in a way that I would find, or anyone else on the team would find collectible, and hope for the best.
Here's a screenshot from Unreal Engine here. I think we've done it too. And everybody that's tuned into the stream right now would probably agree. So what are we looking at here within Unreal?
More grass tests.
Grass.
Just
Got it.
like,
That's why
you know,
she's
it's just,
standing.
yeah,
Okay.
bit of grass, you know. But as you can see, there's that variation in there and stuff like that. Crimson Waste will actually, I think we're going to make it. Right now, you're seeing the grass is very green. It doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
suit every area.
Mm-hmm.
It's just work in progress. Sorry, 1 second.
No
It's
problem.
just work in progress. So we'll shift the color and the grass assets to be Crimson Waste orientated. They'll be like dry and red. But there's one area inside of Crimson Waste called Soccer's Garden, and that's where the grass will be all lush and green. And instead of that green acid, it's going to be water surrounding it. And the plant, there's actually a giant plant in that region. I'll make sure to get the update in next week. That was inspired by the bugs in Starship Troopers. I don't know if anyone remembers that movie, but when
Oh,
they
I do.
land on
I'm
the
old enough to
planet,
remember it. Mm-hmm.
we've
Yeah.
thrown in a lot of inspiration from different things that we found cool and exciting. And one of those scenes was where they're like nuking the bugs that are like shooting up those asteroids into the air that are trying to take down the ships. And
Yeah.
I,
Those anti-air shots. They were like little
yeah,
plants that like
yeah,
doosh, doosh,
yeah,
shot them up in the air
exactly.
as like
So
anti-air guns, if you will, from the
I'll
aliens.
get the
Got it.
update in next week. But basically, like, we've got little areas in the game where it's like you run into a region and you're like, this is a boss fight. You know, now we don't have that in the game. I'm not like leaking that we're putting in boss fights and stuff like that. But eventually we're gonna do that. You know, like we've got one area in each region, which is just like the highlight of the region. It's got a giant one of one asset in it that we put a lot of work into. It makes sense to add some kind of boss fight. You know, once we get the mechanics for the plant interaction in, you know, it would make sense. That would be the next logical step up to incorporate stuff like that in the levels.
Makes sense. These are striking to me. Shardbluff Labyrinth, Null's Point here. So we're seeing the obelisk as the centerpiece. All of what's striking to me is the beautiful water that's coming off of the obelisk and some of it pouring down into what appears to be infinity. So tell us what we're looking at here.
This is the Shardbluff blockout that Vanya has been working on. Now, she also blocked out the Taiga Boreal region, and she's got to be one of the best set dressing environment artists in the world. Her ability to take a concept and flesh it out quickly and accurately is just amazing. And the cool thing about this region is it's realistically the only true nighttime region, and it's Shardbluff is built into a giant cliff face and has the most verticality out of any level. So the lowest point and the highest point are the most spread out, and basically you'll be snaking your way around a cliff face with a few various chasms and stuff like that to explore. And this will be one of the regions that is released later on in the process. So Abyssal Basin, Crimson Waste, and Brightland Steps will be the regions that we release on launch. Once those are done, the team will move over to taking these blockouts and making them all high res. So what you're seeing here is obviously just a work in progress. It's just to get the scale right, the pathing right, but it's going to be a very, very cool region. The plants in this region kind of spew a lava. It's very hard not to fall into like cliched looks, you know, like some games have the lava levels, you know, some games have the bright levels. With Illuvium, we've got to kind of do things slightly different. And, you know, instead of having it lava everywhere, it's like a plant goo kind of thing being ejected by a hero plant in the level. And that's what gives us kind of fake lava.
That's cool. I love that. Yeah, let's not repeat the same exact lava look. The giant lava flow in the middle with little veins, and you have to somehow traverse over the lava. And we've played that like 50 times at this point.
Yes, exactly.
And seen it in every movie.
We'll do little things. Yep.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's a massive level. I mean, I can load the level up, but I wanted to. The problem is, right? I've got the updated auto battle thing.
Oof. Let's save that for the end. I'm looking at it on my other screen.
Okay.
Wow, what you've got over here looks okay.
We're
going to do that in a minute. We're going to do that in a minute. You want to do that now, or you want to do that in a minute?
No, because I'll drag some characters in, because every time you drag them in this version of the game, it's got to compile. So I'll just drag a few of the free-to-play characters in. And
Well, let me know when you want me to pull that up
yeah,
on the screen. I'm not pulling it up right now. I'm showing off more of this Shardbluff Labyrinth leaks. Guys,
easy.
do you guys like this showcase? I mean, look, this is basically infinity leaks. We've been going for over an hour here. This man woke up at 3 a.m. to bring you these leaks. Look at these waterfalls just pouring down into infinity. I freaking
Massive
love
level.
it. I love it so much.
We've got to get the flying mechanics in, the gliding mechanics in, because the idea is obviously that, you know, it's a lot to go through in a level, and people don't want to get bored running from point A to point B constantly.
Sure. Look at this little skinny ledge here you can traverse up and then go past these waterfalls. What are the secrets over here, guys? What's there? Oh, can't wait to explore that. That looks so phenomenal. So much Shardbluff love here. And look at the scale. Our little ranger here in the water in this big wide world. Don't fall off the edge.
Wonder if just bringing in as many characters as I can, because when they compile, it takes a while in this version of the game.
You've got audio over there, so I'm going to make sure I turn the volume down and it doesn't blow me up. Perfect.
Ooh, it just chugs the computer. Actually, one of the exciting things is, like, from a development standpoint, Unreal Engine's just about to release a new update which does like on-demand compiling, which means that we can set certain things to compile on load. So things like characters and stuff like that, if I want to showcase characters in engine without compiling the entire game down, I can hopefully do that in the future, because that's one of the bottlenecks. How many more leaks do we have?
I mean, it's your fault. This is the Delta. This is the northern parts with the pillars. There's so many leaks. I mean, I think we got about 20 leaks left or so here.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm going through all the Shardbluff ones. I mean, they're all in a similar state, but each one of these leaks you shared obviously is a new part of the region to show. And for those of you that are going to go on our Discord to check out these leaks first, here in the top right-hand corner of each of these Shardbluff Labyrinth leaks, you'll see a red circle there that shows you where it is located relative to the other parts of the region, which is awesome. And here we go. Even more here, guys. So much Shardbluff. It's so crazy. And I just love the depth. I love looking down and just having that sense of vertigo in that moment, looking down and then wondering what's down there. You see that there's like a little something down there at the bottom that's glowing, kind of pulling you down, telling you with lighting and with assets, come down here and come explore. And oof, you get to choose one of two paths to climb here. Very cool.
It's open world, but just pathed really nicely. So for the player, it's easy to discern where to go and flow through the level.
You see that tiny little dot in the middle of the screen there? That is your character, friends. That's how big this is in Shardbluff. Guys, we got a showstopper here at the end that we're going to show all of you. Yeah, it does look like it's chugging a little bit, Grant. And this appears to be at the bottom of that area we were seeing in a moment ago when we saw something red poking out that was glowing. Perhaps this is it, right here. Very cool. Entrance to the Delta. All right, so this is different than what we've been showing. These are free to play right here. So are these what we've been referring to in the past as tier, quote unquote, tier 0, if you will? Got it.
These are all which is what I'm going to show at the end of the episode in the actual game.
Got it. So you guys are gonna see all of these free to play Illuviuls at the end of the episode. Here they are, just all T-posing, if you will, all next to each other in a bit of a showcase, just to show you all the color varieties, and they look beautiful. I'd take all those for free. Yes, please. Looks great, and even more leaks, dude. So we've got Brightland Steps here, grass tests.
That's Taiga Boreal, just to test with different grass assets.
Got it.
That'll improve. That's not even in game. That's just a mock-up. That's not an indication of what Taiga Boreal will look like at all. It's just a test to showcase that we've got different grasses and stuff. Here's some more Shardbluff assets. These are the assets that, you know, in the level that you were just showing. These are the types of plants. So there's these plants that have like kind of lava sacs in them, and if you shoot them, it'll spew out lava.
Very cool. And here's another angle.
That region unique.
They look wet and gooey, man. I don't want to touch these. The little spikes that are poking out of them, those claw-like spikes, make them look foreboding. And here at the bottom, it looks like there's like, yeah, that lava. You can kind of see it powered up down the bottom. What is the power or the danger inside of this? It tells a whole story visually. All right, got another video for everybody. More of these work in progress NFT cards, right? Do you like turtles? Yes, Archelon. Here we go. That's a good angle. That's a flattering angle. That's his good side right there.
These are all going to look so damn good. No one's touching our character collection for a long, long time. You'd have to be insane. Once these are all rendered in V-Ray, it's exciting because we've got our render farm right now. And what happened is with that render farm.
Sorry, I didn't realize this one had audio. You just shared this one with me. I haven't been able to preview this one.
Yeah, I have leaked some of this stuff in the leaks channel. I didn't want people like freaking out and like grabbing pitchforks and stuff like Linky in the chat. He's just a leak addict. Just like, calm down, bro. It's just every time, it's like he's waiting for me to see the Von Neumann typing in the leaks chat. He's like, he's in. Yeah,
got a little background music on this one.
We're showing Squizz in the game with his basic attack.
Got it.
So the shock character. So we've got not many shock characters in the first set of Illuviuls, but the ones we do have are very cool. And Squizz is going to be a lot of people's favorite character just because of that like kind of cult Church of Squizz status that we had early on in the project. For people that don't know, when the game was first announced, Squizz was one of the very first characters we showed, and he developed a little cult following because he was so cute. In hindsight, bringing in 8-legged octopus characters into a auto battler was maybe the most difficult choice we could have made, but I'm glad we did it. Yeah,
very good.
I've got for next week. I've got I couldn't just keep piling leaks on you. For next week, we've got all his alts done and stuff like that. So everything you're seeing is work in progress and will be improved.
Got it. All right. This is really cool. Guys, so many leaks. We've got even more. Okay, so we've got some higher resolution Arlen here, or Ranger here.
Yeah, so Ranger. This was... Mm-hmm. Yep, so since Mark came on, if you remember, I was talking about color balancing everything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in the trailer, right, so everything that we rendered in the trailer that you saw was the in-game assets, but certain things like lighting were not balanced correctly because we're rushing things out to get assets in the trailer. So on the right was how Arlen used to look unoptimized and uncalibrated. And then we offset the darkness, which was a mistake in the texturing pipeline, by over exaggerating the light. And we've hit this point now in development where Mark is calibrating everything and making everything consistent. And it dawned on us that a lot of character textures and stuff were out of whack. And so we've done a re-leveling and adjusted Arlen now. So in game, she looks like that. It looks way, way better. The suit, the skin. This is in Unreal Engine, obviously. The work we put into Arlen was quite extensive, and she's only going to get better.
I mean, the lighting is obviously completely superior here. It looks way, way better. Massive improvement. I do kind of like, I'm kind of inspired by Dark version, though. I kind of want evil Arlen.
There's anyway. A lot of... Skins will be one of the big things moving forward in this showcase. I think people are going to be really hyped. They're going to find a character that they feel is their favorite, but then to get the skin for that character, you're going to need to find a lot of that character. It's going to be a big grind to get the skin for Mozart and yourself. There's a lot to grind for in the game, but we know that if you're going to make people grind for something, make the skin and the artwork worth it. Like I played Sea of Thieves with a group of friends the other day, and you can tell they put a lot of work into the ships and things like that you buy. They're just cosmetic. There's nothing in the game that you can buy to make the game easier, but the cosmetics looked worth it, and we want to achieve that same effect where people have a favorite character, favorite skin, and then they've got something to grind for there, because you need to find and fuse a lot of characters to create a skin.
Makes sense. And we've got even more assets work in development here. What are these?
Mm-hmm.
These look coral-like, but I'm not sure.
Yep.
What are these?
Just more Halcyon C updates.
They are Halcyon C. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
I believe that it gets a little bit hard now to, just from looking, seeing these a week ago, whether or not it's Kevin or Andre sculpting these, because our team's gotten so good at keeping things stylistically identical.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Arthur does something, when Kevin does something, when Andre does something, it starts to look a little bit similar. But with stuff like this, I don't remember if that was Kevin or Andre. I was going to make a guess. I would say that is Kevin. I might be wrong on that.
This one says just Kevin.
All hand done.
Got it. And here's even more. Why are these spheres? Can you help us understand why are these spheres? These are for lighting calibration and reflection calibration. Is that correct?
Yeah, just to make sure that the values are correct. What we're doing now is that optimization pass on hero items first. So anything used in the auto battler, we're doing a color calibration on for PB2 as much as we can before PB2 comes out.
Oopsie. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So got it. So you can see the lighting instruments here in the reflection in this scene, and then obviously all that lighting creates this beautiful reflective look. Is this a skin or is this default Mozart here?
Default Mozart.
This is default. Okay.
I've saved. I could have shared more leaks, but I figured the show would just get too crazy at this point. So
got it. Here's more of that Arlen from earlier. Yeah. Just wanted to show more angles here of the improvements that have been made to Arlen.
Now, Arlen isn't the character, just so people are aware, isn't the character you'll be playing as in-game. There will be a character, a rudimentary character customization at the start. You'll be able to choose a male, female, change the size, and then further down the line, we'll add things like hair and, facial skins and stuff like that. But that's not our goal to get that out. We don't think it affects people's perception of the game too much at the very, very start. But the goal is obviously and we've done a lot of work on different characters and stuff like that.
Thank you. I'll check my Zoom subscription. Thank you for the reminder there, Mercury. That's great. All right. Excellent. And we're almost done here, guys. We have so much more leaks, just even more assets.
Yeah. Even the little ones have a lot of work.
Looks absolutely beautiful.
My job is very easy at this point because our concept team is so amazing. And
guys, we are an hour and 20 minutes into this, and we're still leaking things. This is ridiculous. I love how plant-like yet uniquely crystallic, or crystallic isn't a word, but crystallic? I don't know. I like how there's unique crystal elements down here at the bottom, but it's clearly a reference to a plant on the top. These are really cool looking.
Everything that is in Crystal Shores technically exists in other regions. So players will be able to figure out what assets they were based off of. Obviously, they're completely unique assets that we have to go through. But yeah, we've taken reference from everything. Now, here's one of the exciting things that might not mean a lot for people because it's a very technical update that we've got to work on. But there are certain things that have happened over the course of the CGI industry evolving and the film industry evolving that have meant that the color space used is much wider now. Like monitors have high dynamic range. Digital film has more color than traditional film. And in order to tap into that, we want to be the first game that swaps to a full ACES CG color workflow. Basically, what this means is we have a game that's stylized and very vibrant, and technology for screens is evolving very fast, where HDR monitors are kind of going to be the norm moving forward. If you're a PC gamer, you're going to want a game that they're not overly expensive and everyone can kind of have access to those, at least if not now, definitely in the short term, that'll be a big improvement that people upgrade, is just getting HDR monitors. And typically games are done in sRGB color space, which has just less that it's a technical thing to explain, so I'll try and dumb it down. But basically we go from, let's just say you have 255 colors in sRGB. This is an incorrect way to summarize it, but let's just say now you have 400 colors to choose from. It just increases the gamut, and we have to swap and calibrate all of the textures to an ACE's workflow. And if you look through some of these leaks that I'm posting, you can see like before and, or sorry, that you're sharing, you can see the before and after of some of the results of that. And it's subtle, but it means on an HDR monitor, the character's contrast and saturation will be more natural. It basically, from an art direction and look dev point of view, gives us more information in the textures to tap into, so that when we do color corrections and look dev and stylization in the levels with lighting, so this is like this is a pre ACES, this is what we have now basically, right? That's what the textures look like in the viewport. And then if you swap, I believe there's one after
I'm sorry, dude. I thought they were. Oh boy, I botched that. I thought they were duplicates. I thought they were duplicates. You were trying to show the improvements of one over the other, and I removed it because I thought they were duplicates. I'm so sorry.
No stress. No stress. It's something subtle, but this is basically what all it means is that when the final game comes out, we don't need to oversaturate the game. It's not going to be blinding for the player because things won't be clipping. One of the problems is when you go stylized is everything needs to be fully saturated. So if red is like bright red to the eye, you're just getting these fucking red photons bashing you in the face for hours and hours a day. It's a bit extreme and harsh. We want to just tone that back a bit and give ourselves some control to look dev things more accurately. It's a massive, massive visual change for someone who's experienced with color calibration. But to the average player, if you just swapped between the two, they might be like, what's the big deal? But it's such a new workflow in film even that, we want to take some of the stuff we've learned in film and apply it visually to the game.
You're future-proofing Illuvium in even more ways, also in terms of the coloring. That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, I know you wanted to show something. I have a few things I want to end the stream with, but I know you wanted to show us a special surprise. Yep. The frame rate looks like it's chugging a little bit here on the. Oh, okay. It's just because your mouse.
It's just because Unreal Engine, it doesn't want to be calculating at 60 FPS.
Okay, well then let's show everyone. So there was this showstopper. Just to give you some context, there was a showstopper on a previous stream of a close to finished, almost there battle board. Everybody lost their minds over that battle board. Is this the same battle board from that stream, or is this a different battle board?
This is the Crimson Waste battle board, but it's actually heavily out of date now because we've got different testing environments. Like the environment branch has a final asset that's being worked on from an art perspective. And then meanwhile, the game developers are working on a version of that level to test characters out. And
got it.
What we're seeing here is like an old version of the environment without lighting updates and stuff, but it does have the characters ready to go in this version of the game.
So these are the tier 0 Illuviuls you were referring to. Yeah. So free-to-play players will be able to acquire these Illuviuls as it stands right now. God, look how beautiful they look.
Not the links. I put the links in there. Just I'll show that later. But yeah, you can see the work that goes in. All of the passive VFX. It's unbelievable. You cannot find another game with fur like this, and the amount of work we've gone into, like the character, even just rigging the character's eyes to blink, like that type of detail is just stupid.
Wow. What are the names of all these? Can you walk us through the names of all these Illuviuls if you're able to recall them as we go across the board?
Yep, we've got back here the Volante, which is like the lizard. And I'm sure
he's doing a little stretch there. He's kind of chilling. Yep. Looks like he's got fire just going right up his back, coming right off the tail as well.
Yep, all the tier 0s don't have composite affinities or classes, so they're just the base class and affinities. And that means that when new players are onboarded into the game, they're not being greeted with overly complex gameplay mechanics. They can just learn the basic kind of Pokemon synergies, and then as they want to, if you enjoy the game enough past the free to play stage, when you want to start going into regions that are paid and getting the more, the base character set with composite affinities, that's when things will increase in complexity. So we've done that for a reason.
Got it. And who's this?
Flish. We got the little Flish, 2 eyes. You can see right now that's a work in progress. His tongue's kind of screwed up, but this guy's tongue isn't.
Ooh, I love the little eye movement, the sudden cocks of the head, the lick of the eyeball. Oh, so good.
Over time, like these will, like the animations and stuff will vary them up. But for now, they're super cool. Then we have my favorite and Roger's favorite, the Doka.
As featured in the Illuvitar's trailer.
Yep. I mean, come on. Like, this is as AAA as it gets. Like, graphically. It's really crazy.
Look at him just swinging. He's like, he's ready to rumble, baby.
Yeah, I'm just proud of what the team has been able to do. Just to say it at the start of last year, like what we were saying, like 150 AAA characters, I'm sure a lot of people were saying we're full of shit. And to actually do it is just crazy.
Here's the proof on the screen. I'm sorry, who was this? What's the name of this Illuvium?
The Atippo. The nature Atippo. So cute.
What's that giant growth on its head? Can you give us a little bit of understanding of what that is?
It's where he like forms his VFX attacks and stuff like that. So no one really knows why it's like that, but when you want to create unique characters, you've got to go extreme sometimes. And I think that's what I love about our characters. We've got some that fall into a more traditional realm where we're not trying to be too, like, every character isn't just this wacko, weird, unrelatable thing, but we do have that nice variation in the game where certain characters feel normal and then other characters have this weird X factor that gives them that uniqueness. It's just so cute. I can't wait to do things like little cutscenes with these characters showcasing their personalities, like characters fighting each other, playing with each other. It'll all come. You got the fire Tipo.
Wow! Look how different they look. There's variations on the model itself as well. It looks like obviously there's fire there, and some of the roots have been replaced. The textures on the head are different. The other one, this is so cool. The one you showed a moment ago has a more tree-like head. This one's got a sort of a scaly head. Really cool to see the variations between these two, and they're so freaking cute.
It's so cute. I can't wait to see kids' reactions when the game. We didn't target kids, like, that was a misconception early on that we're doing Pokemon, so it's targeted for kids. We're targeting people who used to like Pokemon as a kid. So like you're over the, super minimalist, cutesy anime style look, but like how do we tap in and still make them cute but feel modern and stand the test of time? And then we've got another one of my favorites, the Grocko. Just so cool.
I love his proportions. Just the giant head, oversized feet and arms. It just gives him this, and the hair drooping over the eyes. So much personality.
It's crazy.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. The flowers like growing off of that Illuvial is really, really interesting as well. And now we have Lynx varieties here in the back, huh?
Yeah, like so many Lynxes. We're actually going through a little bit of an overhaul at the moment. One of the problems is when you're playing the game, the Lynx lines start to look a little bit similar. Like if you see if I go down here, you can see we have a Lynx, Fighter, Rogue, Empath. Hold on, let me get all. You can see here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in the Earth line. For each base affinity, there's a Fighter, Rogue, Bulwark, Scion, Empath, and they start to look a little bit similar. So we're just making changes to the Lynx at the moment to make them instantly recognizable. It's another one of those things where, like, I'm not a cat person, but I am now. When Aaron pitched the idea of doing, what was it, 31 Lynxes, I was like, this is ridiculous. But it's like a collectible within a collectible thing. So like once you get a few of them, you might want to go through and try and find all the links in the game.
Awesome.
Very cool,
Obviously,
though.
yeah, you want to make, so basically what you're saying is at a glance, you want all of these links to be at a glance totally distinguishable from each other, and so they're not samey at all.
Yep, and to know if it's a rogue or a fighter, because they're both going to be purple. They're both going to be Earth, but which class is it? And we're doing things like adding VFX to the body, so like the rogue will have these streaks coming down it. I'm sure that'll come up in later episodes, but I just wanted to show like some of these free to play characters and the characters being updated in the game, because all these will be in PB2. So all of the free to play characters, the Lynxes, they're going in PB2, and we're just doing some final tweaks on the Lynx line, and then all the characters are ready for PB2.
PB2, for those that don't know what PB2 is, that is Private Beta 2. We have over 10,000 people testing Private Beta 1. Obviously, we want to get more into PB2, and a part of that is having more Illuviuls available, more features, more systems, that type of thing, for everyone to be able to experience. Thank you for that sneak preview of all of those tier zeros. That was really, really cool to see. Is there anything else you want to show us? Otherwise, I've got a few other items I want to share with the audience.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I would love to like simulate the battle right now, but because this is a uncompiled version of the game, what you'll see is that everything slows down to a halt as the computer starts compiling VFX that is running, that isn't being showcased now. I mean, I can do it, but you see it starts going. Like I'm running the game, but it's just compiling right now. So even though everything works, and yeah, my computer is, there you go, you can see them kind of going at it.
Got it. Yeah, but it has to compile everything in real time. It's not optimized like the actual game would be.
Yeah, like, but once, it only needs to do that once. So if I ran this same battle again, it would obviously run smoothly because everything's compiled, but then I would have to like choose the exact same characters and stuff. Yeah, it's very cool.
There it is. Oh, Grant always bringing the heat, baby. That's what I'm talking about, man. Thank you for showing that. That was a special treat there at the end of the stream. Thank you so much for that. And everybody, we have an episode of Illuvitalks coming up tomorrow, my friends, right here on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Seaton, mobile gaming champion. Sandro, biggest crypto gaming community in Germany. And of course, TSG in the house to discuss how we bring more gamers into crypto, how Germany is going to impact all of this, and what is the future of NFTs. Very exciting. Tune in for that. We have exclusive live streams on Twitch every single freaking day with the top Illuvium influencers there streaming to entertain you. Follow us on Twitch if you have not already. The goal is to get that up to a 24/7 live stream. On Discord, we have meme competitions, trivia, live events, and more. Kaka's Cave, I believe, is now a thing that Dick King is doing. I don't know, man.
Oh, that's so funny.
There you go. And that's all happening on Discord, my friends. And if you have not already, build your Illuvitar on illuvium.io/Illuvitars. Sign up for that newsletter so you do not miss our Illuvitar sale. That will be coming up, Blizzard trademark soon. Obviously with IIP24 and the increased scope with collections coming in for Illuvitars and what have you. We're going to make sure that that gets delivered to you as soon as possible. Grant, I really appreciate you coming on, and I think the audience is appreciating all of these leaks and getting all this context from you. It's so much better to get all of that detail and to run through all of this. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I think moving forward, as cool as the leaks channel has been in the Discord, it's mostly now just for like diehard fans who are in the Discord all the time. We're not having the same impact as we should sharing this type of work because no studio has been this transparent about sharing live updates on the game. And so shifting things to the show with Andrew, I'm going to try and get other artists. I won't be on every show, but I'll try and get other artists to showcase stuff with Andrew. I'll try and get artists right now to start streaming more of the game development. Just remember, every month we chip away, or every week we chip away, we get closer to having like fully fleshed out in-game updates. And it's exciting now that we're getting to a point where we can do a show like this and there are enough leaks happening every week to make it exciting. And hopefully this is just a better format to to excite you guys again about what's happening on the game, actually getting some context on the leaks, because it's kind of different when I just share a bunch of stuff that no one really knows what it is or where the quality is at. And I'm hoping this is received a lot better.
I agree, and I think it is. I think that's what people are telling us in chat. This is now my time to awkwardly wave goodbye to all of you, and thank you for joining us on Illuvium Showcase today. We're going to see you next week. I've got all of the streams scheduled on YouTube. Replays are there, and I'm going to awkwardly wave goodbye as I hit end stream so I don't cut myself off. Awkward goodbye.